Prime Minister Modi has landed in Jammu. This is Prime Minister's first visit to Jammu and Kashmir since the abrogation of Article 370. The Prime Minister will be participating in the celebrations for the National Panchayati Raj Day and will address Gram Sabhas across the country. He's going to be visiting Palli Panchayat in the Samba district. During the visit, the Prime Minister will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of multiple development projects worth about 20,000 crore rupees. He's also going to be launching the Sarovar initiative. He's going to be inaugurating the Banihal-Kazigan Road tunnel that is going to help bring regions of Jammu and Kashmir closer, and many other hydroelectric projects worth 9,800 crore rupees. The Amrit Sarovar, it's an initiative aimed at developing and rejuvenating 75 water bodies in each district of the country. It is also going to be launched by the Prime Minister. The security has been beefed up in wake of the terrorist attack in Sunjwan.
How's the security been beefed up in the wake of the attack?
See, we've been making security arrangements for the last couple of days. You know, we have had an encounter 2 days back in the outskirts of Jammu city. We know that our adversary has their own plans. They always try to disturb the peaceful environment, and this has happened around the visit of Honorable Prime Minister. This has been a cause of worry for us, and we are trying to see that any other such threats emanating from very close to the border. So any more threats emanating from the border, we are beefing up our security around the border. We've had a meeting, detailed meeting with our border guarding forces and the army today. We also had a meeting with the paramilitary force officers and the intelligencies. We have taken into account all the inputs that are available. We are aware that there are terror outfits being done from Pakistan, being handled from Pakistan, who have done terror-related activities in Jammu region as well. The one was in Udhampur about 2 weeks back, and then Kotranka, Rajouri just last week, and an encounter 2 days ago. So we are aware that this border has been vulnerable to incidents of infiltration, and this current encounter also indicates that this is a fresh infiltration.
Let's get you Kamaljeet Sandhu in just about a bit. Those are the first up visuals that we're flashing on your screens of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has landed in Jammu. And as Kamaljeet was also mentioning, this trip is rather very high on symbolism because it is Prime Minister Modi's first visit to the valley ever since the abrogation of Article 370. The Prime Minister has a power pack schedule right there in the valley, and we will get you what the schedule and the itinerary looks like. In the meanwhile, a lot of security has been beefed up too ahead of the Prime Minister's visit. Sunilji Bhatt is now joining us. Sunilji, walk our viewers through the itinerary of Prime Minister Modi. First visit, high on symbolism after the abrogation of Article 370. What can be expected? Sunilji, are you able to hear me? Let's try and re-establish that connection to Sunilji Bhatt, who is joining us from Jammu and Kashmir. Our reporters are there. They will be joining us in just a bit to bring you up to speed with the very latest first-up visuals here on India Today of the Prime Minister landing in Jammu and Kashmir, a trip which is rather very high on symbolism. India Today has accessed these exclusive visuals of the Prime Minister in Jammu and Kashmir, his first very visit to Jammu and Kashmir after the abrogation of Article 370. Grand welcome for the Prime Minister, a red carpet welcome, as you can already see. He's landed in Jammu and security has been beefed up. This is the first visit of the Prime Minister, as I already mentioned, since the scrapping of Article 370. The Prime Minister will participate in celebrations for National Panchayati Raj Day. He's also slated to address Gram Sabhas across the country. He will be going to the Palli Panchayat in Samba district too. During the visit, there is going to be inauguration of several development projects, initiatives worth around 20,000 crore rupees. The Amrit Sarovar initiative is another one that the Prime Minister plans to launch today in Jammu. And he's also going to be inaugurating the Banihal-Kazigan Road tunnel. That's going to be helping to bring the regions of Jammu and Kashmir closer. And these are also the live visuals that are coming in from Jammu as the Prime Minister is being taken around Jammu right there. Security has been beefed up. The Prime Minister's visit to Jammu, rather very significant, high on symbolism as well. Sunilji Bhatt is joining us on the phone line for the very latest on this. Sunilji, first up, tell us the itinerary of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Well, Chetty, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reached Palli village and right now he is visiting the Panchayat Ghar, and as the rally is concerned, large number of people have assembled here and sources have told us that more than 80,000 people are here. So you can understand that it is historic rally of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Samba district of Jammu and Kashmir, and this rally comes after Sujwa terror attack and the Sujwa encounter. So there was terror threat moving large over this rally, but still large number of people have gathered here, and most of them are panches and sarpanches, panchayat members of Jammu and Kashmir. Remember, today is the Panchayati Raj day, and to commemorate the day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to address a massive rally here in Jammu and Kashmir, Samba district. He is going to talk about the initiatives that have been launched by his government. He is also going to lay foundation stone of many developmental projects. He is also going to inaugurate many developmental projects. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi is sending out a big message that Jammu and Kashmir is very close to his heart, and that is why he has chosen Samba for this rally. We also need to understand that prior to abrogation of Article 370, three-tier Panchayati Raj system was not applicable in Jammu and Kashmir. It was only after the abrogation of Article 370 that three-tier Panchayati Raj system was implemented in Jammu and Kashmir. So this rally of Prime Minister Narendra Modi comes after the implementation of three-tier Panchayati Raj system in Jammu and Kashmir. Elections were held after the abrogation of Article 370 for Panchayat, Block Development Council and District Development Council. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants further empowerment of the grassroots democracy in Jammu and Kashmir. So he's going to the Panchayati Raj institution members. This is going to be massive because this is for the first time Prime Minister Narendra Modi is attending a public event after the abrogation of Article 335A. After the revocation of 370 PM, has visited Jammu and Kashmir twice, so just Deepavali to meet the Jawans. This is going to be his first public event after the abrogation of 370. So it's a very important tour of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He is going to lay foundation stone and inaugurate many developmental projects worth rupees 20,000 crore. And as I can see on the dais, Union Minister Giriraj Singh, who is the Panchayati Raj, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the dais, we can see
there is some issue with the audio. Sunilji, I please request you just get re-established again on this broadcast. I'm requesting the producers to get Sunilji back on. Get him back on this broadcast, please. His voice is not clear at the moment, but we are continuing to track the story with Sunilji Bhatt, who's getting us the entire itinerary of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Also, I want to inform our viewers that the security has been beefed up in the wake of the terrorist attack in Sunjwan, and the Prime Minister has already landed in Jammu. Let's get Kamaljeet Sandhu, Sunilji Bhatt and our reporters on ground to get you more details on this particular visit. The Vikas push, what is scheduled. We're getting you those visuals coming in from Jammu and Kashmir right now, where the Prime Minister has reached. He's just arrived a couple of moments ago, and these are live visuals flashing on your screens right now. It's his first visit to Jammu and Kashmir since the scrapping of Article 370. Sunilji Bhatt is back with us. Sunilji, tell us a little about the security being beefed up as well, given there was a terrorist attack in Sunjwan.
Yes, you see, an encounter took place in Sunjwan with the of Jammu and come to Jammu, and they were planning to carry out a major attack on or before the rally of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And right now we can see on the dais Prime Minister Modi has arrived and is flanked by the Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha, Union Ministers Dr. Jitendra Singh and Mr. Giriraj Singh. Yeah, we can hear loud cheering from the crowd, and large number of people are here. Sources have told us that more than 80,000 people have come here for this rally. And as soon as the Prime Minister Narendra Modi reached the dais, people gave him a very warm welcome here. He was greeted with 100 Modi slogans. So there is maximum enthusiasm among the people here. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi's agenda is...
Getting an address from the Prime Minister in a bit, because we can see him being presented with that particular big frame as well on the stage at the moment. These are first up visuals that we're bringing on India Today. Is Prime Minister Narendra Modi slated to speak any moment now? Sunilji Bhatt, if you could confirm that.
Yes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is being welcomed by the J&K Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha. Right now, Mr. Manoj Sinha is addressing the rally. He's talking about Panchayati Raj Day, which is being celebrated across the country today. But there is mass frenzy here. People are in joy. And even J&K Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha is finding it very difficult to speak because the joy of people knows no bounds right now. It is for the first time that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has come to Jammu and Kashmir after the abrogation of Article 370 and 35A. Although he has been to Jammu and Kashmir twice after the abrogation.
All right, Kamaljeet Sandhu is also joining us live at the moment. Kamaljeet, I'm throwing straight across to you. For more on the story, if you can hear me, first walk us through what can be expected in the next couple of minutes. The Prime Minister is about to make an address. Kamaljeet?
Well, a big announcement expected to be made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, very high on symbolism. There has been no election, but there have been DDC and BDC members. There are punches and sarpanches, many of them who have borne the brunt of terrorism. They have been under the terror radar for some time. So whether it's Wasim Bari or the others, then there have been attacks on the BJP leaders as well. But this time it's also about the messaging. He is going to be inaugurating virtually several of the developmental projects worth 38,000 crore rupees, 20,000 crore rupees of investment expected. We're also looking at projects like the Kazigund-Banihal, which is going to connect the tunnel from Jammu to Kashmir. Also, we are looking at rejuvenation of water bodies, at least 75 of them. So there are a slew of measures going to be taken place. But what is important is the ground situation, how things are panning out. So we've seen a spate of terror attacks happening in Kashmir Valley. We've seen a number of encounters now take place in Jammu, a mysterious blast happening this morning in Jammu area. So all this is a ground reality. The messaging from the Prime Minister is going to be very clear. One, he stands by the people. This is also about addressing the punches and sarpanches, especially on the National Panchayati Raj Day. So even though the rest of the country will connect virtually with him on this particular day, we have seen representations coming in from 662 districts where panchayat members are going to be present. We've seen a lot of security measures being put in place. The entire town has been painted saffron, if I can say so. There are several posters all across, big posters which have come up. The smaller posters all talk about Chalo Palli. So people, several of them have high expectation from the Prime Minister has to speak. Will there be a political messaging of sorts? What happens to the elections which haven't happened since August 2019? The delimitation is expected, and obviously that final report, and after that subsequently elections, is something many say this is an informal way of perhaps kick-starting that particular campaign. The others are saying it's perhaps too early. Elections may be still some months away, but at this point of time, a lot of clarity will come on what is the future map as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. This has been made into a UT, a union territory, and since then the development as promised by BJP. So Prime Minister coming here himself is obviously the city of temples, high on messaging, high on symbolism, but clearly he will have a word for punches and sarpanches. He will talk about the sacrifices made by all those who have borne the brunt of terrorism. Clear messaging coming in, and let's see if there's a message for Pakistan as well.
We're waiting for that message because we're waiting for the address as well, Kamaljeet. But in the meanwhile, talk to us about the security that seems to have been beefed up in the wake of the terror attack we witnessed in the valley as well. Kamaljeet?
Well, Well, yes. See, the security situation is something of a major concern. So we've seen number of encounters take place. There was a lull in between, but since the beginning of April and May, we've seen number of encounters now really take place. The other part is obviously about how things are going to pan out in the future. The months of May and June could be very, very crucial as far as counter-terror operations are concerned. But the other part is about the developmental projects. What really happens? There has been a vacuum which has been created because many feel the bureaucrats may not be that much available, at least to the people. However, there has representation which is coming through panchs and sarpanches. Several of them who have moved out of their villages because of security reasons, accommodation being given. A lot of people demanded that the salaries of panchs and sarpanches be increased because they actually take a lot of risk, stay away from their families. So all these are ground realities. Is there going to be some sort of a change? Is there going to be a future map as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned? This is something Prime Minister is going to really address. Talk about ground realities and what the government has in mind for them. So we've seen slew of projects which are going to be inaugurated, 38,000 crore worth of developmental projects, and I mentioned to virtual inauguration of certain projects. All this is going to be a crux, but it's also about the ground reality and expectation of the Aam Aadmi here that now needs to be fulfilled. So a lot of, we spoke to a lot of people out here.
Mention that, Kamaljeet. I'm glad you mentioned that. So what is really the expectation of the Aam Aadmi right there? You've been reporting from ground zero. What is the sentiment that you're picking up in terms of their expectations?
See, one really has to understand that even though there are several political parties operating out of Jammu region, this has predominantly over the years has a large base of BJP, and a lot of them we've been speaking to, including some of them we travelled and spoke to along the way, do support the sort of politics and believe that Prime Minister Narendra Modi can bring about that change that BJP has been talking about. They're happy with the abrogation of Article 370, but development may have been slightly slow. They believe a lot of employment measures can be done. They believe a balance of power between Jammu and Kashmir needs to be done. So these are things that they really anticipate. But again, when we have a neighbor like Pakistan, there are realities which are something to do with the security situation of this particular place. And that now needs to see a sea change. So we've seen a radicalization of youth. We've seen youth in Kashmir Valley pick up arms. Over a period of time, many would have said the men joining terror ranks are slightly less, but considering that we've not seen a sea change as far as security situation is concerned, so that is something that will be addressed. The crack team of Home Ministry is here. They've been here since the Sunjwan encounter took place. They are obviously going to look at how to keep the violence levels low and also to ensure that the Pakistan-based terror groups and backed by them are neutralized or brought down. So all this is the part of ground reality, but the Prime Minister's message is not just going to be on security. It's going to be about the people, about the roadmap BJP and the government really has. So as the Prime Minister, the National Panchayati Raj Day, this is going to be virtually broadcast, especially online across the country. News channels obviously going to be broadcasting it, but it's the messaging perhaps of peace and also to the people of Jammu and Kashmir, especially the sacrifices made by panchs and sarpanches, all this. And we saw once the Prime Minister came in, lakhs of people there, all of them brought in a huge cheer and a lot of clapping out there. So that is the sense, but it's also about what he has to say, the messaging for the people, that is going to be taken very seriously both in Jammu as well as in Kashmir Valley.
That particular address as well, and also just to throw some light, Kamaljeet, on the inauguration of several development projects on the anvil, because since the abrogation of Article 370, there's one thing that has been on the minds of people in the valley is that now finally there will be money that is going to come in, finally there will be more development in the valley. So what is it that he's announcing today?
So we're looking at around 38,000 crore rupees of development projects. We're looking at investments. Members from the UAE are, some of them were staying in the Radisson Hotel. Then there are supposed to be other people that he's meeting, especially his interaction with panches and sarpanches. So it has to be a holistic way. But since today being the National Panchayati Raj Day, the messaging, especially those who have been victims of terror, that is something that is going to be highlighted. And as you mentioned about, development projects are obviously not something where we can see results overnight. A lot of people who always fret and fume about the electricity situation in Jammu and Kashmir, Kashmir Valley particularly in winters and Jammu in summers. So there is an issue and we know that hydropower projects are being announced. There's also a talk about in the next 5 years how this entire transformation will take place as far as electricity situation is concerned, development is concerned. A lot of people said VVIP visits actually turn out to be very good for Jammu and Kashmir, saying the roads have been made up, at least certain areas. We saw flyovers being made. So these are development projects. Then there is also a part about how BJP versus the non-BJP parties who've been fought in a bitter part where they say it's not that the development has only come during BJP's regime.
Compelled to take a very short commercial break right here on India Today. Kamaljit Sandhu continues to be live and gets us all the very latest. Our coverage on this very story continues on the other side. Stay with us.